in the Bible, the book of Genesis? Just think about it.
I mean, yeah,
Aren't Ursula
it had like biblical aspects and any good book has it.
Well, yeah, anything good thing is good.
Yeah.
It's like Narnia.
Well, I meant like how biblical.
Yes.
I didn't mean literally.
It's-
And do you remember when there was maybe like a sign in heaven wasn't that maybe because of Mary?
well, yes, it does.
And the flood. That reminds me of Noah's Ark.
And the founding of the town, kind of like two people outcast from a place, and they would wander through the village, very Adam Eve sort of story.
Well, and then at the very end, when they all get exiled for 100 years of solitude, doesn't that sort of remind you of Adam and Eve being exiled from the Garden of Eden? So isn't this kind of just like a big metaphor for human history? This book.
So maybe when the author said the two books you do.
Eastern people.
So maybe when the author of the video said that the two books you must read are Genesis and 100 Years of Solitude, he was really meaning that they're almost one and the same, just different contexts.
Looking for a theme of isolation here, I think the message he's trying to portray is isolation is a good thing sometimes. We read a book in not Bear's class, Dr. McGill's class last year called Things Fall Apart, where basically white man comes in to an African village, everything's good before, then afterwards everything just falls apart because war, village goes against village, war happens, death. Basically here, everything was good when it was isolated. Then later, when they got connected with the banana company and all that, everything fell apart.
It almost felt to me like every single time an invention was introduced, a tragedy followed it.
Yeah, like colonization.
And like,
Right.
I think we could see like, we'll say Archimedo, whatever his name was, the first guy.
The father of the father.
The father and the father of the whatever.
The father, the very beginning.
The first guy in the family.
Triad.
Yes. He got like anytime an invention came, you just saw he kind of removed himself from his family a little more. Like he was just like, oh this and this, and he was like, okay, oh this and this, and then and, like completely, and then eventually just to the part where he's like, I'm a woman.
I'm gonna defend this guy. Is there ever a point at which you understand something that no one else understands, and therefore isolates you? For example, let's look at, I can't remember the name of the scientist, but it's Doc Drayton's favorite scientist. He created this law of the theory of, he almost created string theory, and no one believed it. Absolutely no one believed it. And because no one believed him, he committed suicide. Years later, scientists find, oh wait, his theories are actually true. Therefore, he was smarter than everyone, and no one accepted his views, putting him into isolation. Is that the same with whatever this guy's name is? I have yeah, Jose Paleo Buendia. Is that the same with this guy? He realizes so much that people think he is going crazy, and therefore they tie him to a tree.
I mean, like years later, don't they find out like his gibberish is actually Latin? That's kind of like a different perspective that he might like have that kind of understanding.
So maybe it's not so much he's trying to separate himself from his family as he is trying to he's learned something, he knows something, and even as he tries to tell everyone, they think he's crazy, therefore putting him into isolation. So maybe it isn't really his craziness that.
I think isolation for Macondo is a good thing, but isolation for the characters in Macondo is a bad thing. Because, like, at the very end, Ariolando II knows he'll, like, never leave because the destruction of his family was foretold in the prophecies. They were all going to die, and, like, it's called 100 Years of Solitude. It means that the characters are going to be condemned to 100 years of solitude.
I mean, like, isolation is just such a weird term, because when you think of it, it has this bad connotation of being alone, being unhappy. And in some cases it was, like Crime and Punishment. It almost drove him insane. But for the village, it was a good thing. It's just weird to think about isolation in a different perspective.
Well, we should define isolation.
I got you.
We should define isolation. There are many meanings of isolation.
According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, isolation is defined as the state of being in a place or situation that is separate from others.
separate from others.
Separate
So
from others.
it doesn't mean that you have to be actually alone, like there's no one in the room with you.
It can be physical or mental.
It can be
Yeah,
mental as
that's
well.
just
So
Okay.
on different levels.
I have a question. Did any of you cringe in the book a little with some of the family relationships?
Yes.
Relationships, yeah. Some of
there was
Um,
like a more.
We have a question actually. This is all the incest actually symbolized.
There's
and that's what we asked that.
Yeah. Does anyone know about that? 'Cause
we have a question from that.
So, in the very end of the book, when Arlenio, pretty much like the third at this point, and Amantra Ursula, when she is his aunt, and then they have a child together, and the child is born with a tail, which is what the two founders, Jose Arcadio Buendia and Ursula, were afraid of, that their descendants were going to have tails, like the tails of an iguana. And so we wrote, is the tail a metaphor for animalistic nature of Macondo? Like eventually after so many years of solitude, they became animals. Is that what it was trying to say?
Like their acts were animal-like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they knew it was wrong. I don't know. This is a complicated.
Yeah. But I kept remembering the part of the iguana from the beginning, and then sometimes they mention it again. At the very end, it kind of made more sense.
in Mr. Baird's class, Foster's book, I used to always call it Foster's book, and he was telling us ways for we can read literature. And one chapter that Mr. Baird didn't make anyone read, but I still read, was a chapter on sex and literature. Basically, what Foster said is that sex and literature never actually meant just sex. It always stood for something else. For example, rape symbolizes like violence and whatnot. And really what I saw, and here's an example I like to use. I'm sorry, I have the family tree here. I need to figure out what this guy's name is. I don't know which one. Jose Arcadio, the original guy's son. He came, supposedly he left with the gypsies and came back like a sailor, tattoos and everything built. And then he just grabbed, I think he grabbed some random family member and
He's like, oh, she's my little sister.
she's my little sister.